Okay. I just want to welcome everybody to today's show. We have a marvelous.
You guys got the wrong thing.
I beg your pardon?
Okay, I'm turning you off. I'm turning you off. We're live. We're live.
Okay. All right. Brothers and sisters, mothers, fathers, ancestors, we ask that you join us in this program to bring some conscious reality to our people, to bring consciousness that will awake us, that will give us strength and power, and that give us knowledge of transformation. And so we want to transformate our bodies into healthy organisms in which the Creator
Put the link over
can use us to bring about the will of the Creator. We thank the ancestors, and we have a great show. We got Brother Ptah, and we have Sister Ma'at, who is going to be doing the technology for us behind the scene. And speaking of technology, we have Brother God King Darrell, who is going to be working with us from out of California. Darrell does a fantastic job. He works with me all the time, and I appreciate him and I thank him. And we have with us Brother Kepra, Kepra.Ptah. And I'm really anxious to hear this brother, because he's the brother that's going to help us rejuvenate and heal our bodies and live a life that will help us to be victorious and stay on this planet. And I mean be victorious. So we're going to have him talk to us about what we should eat and how we should eat, and just a lot of good things, even getting into mantras. And, you know, we've heard all of these mantras with other people, but we didn't know that we use mantras going all the way back to ancient times. Sound is healing. He's going to take us through all of that. But our main brother, the brother we're waiting to hear, who is going to open us up. But I'm going to let Sister Ma'at introduce our brother Siba Ptah, and he's going to talk to us about Sister Ma'at, and we're going to be on the way. Sister Ma'at. Are you with us, Sister Ma'at?
Siba. Yes, I am here. And actually, my Siba Ptah Secret Sar wanted to speak first.
It's not a problem.
Dua. Panata Pupama Uncle Stet, Uncle Jaleb, Ubenefi Kia Panadu, Ati to the Ramet, and Meduneta Ramet is the family, the people who we call the first family, because we have now just entered into the great golden age of Manapia, who we some may know as Aquarius. We are fully within this great golden age. We just came out of the last golden age of Pisces, of Uncle Set, where we were Indian humanity, mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slaves. And of course, today's topic will be specifically designed towards that. But I would first, before I begin to perform my Hesse, I would like to perform and to recite in traditional of the past age of Pisces of Uncle Set, which means 2000, 1990, 1980, 1970, 1960. When we would all say Ashe, Ashe, I like to pour this libation to honor these ancestors. So I first would like to ask and honor our past transition ancestors for permission to speak. And these ancestors who have transitioned, we would like to dedicate this show, this particular broadcast, to our recently transitioned Siba, our Hemnet Chair, Heavy Kapra of the White and Gold Lotus Temple, Shrine of Amen Ra, Stone Mountain, Georgia, and his Hemet, Aset Mary Amen. We praise our great Siba, for he has dedicated his life to the uplifting of our African peoples, to our Ramets, and restoring and restoring us to our spiritual beginnings and to our divine birthright of immortality. So I am honored to honor him as our great divine transition Siba, who is expanding with the universe right now forever and ever in immortality. So we rejoice in your name, Hedi Kapra, Hemtepi of the White and Gold Lotus Temple, Shrine of Amen Ra, Stone Mountain, Georgia. I would like to again address our transition Sibas. First, our great Queen Mother Goddess, Frances Cress Wilson, to the great Queen Mother Goddess. I would like to address to Marcus Garvey, to Dr. John Henry, to Dr. Ben Jokanan, to Asa Helia, and to those great Sibas who passed before us. And now I would like to ask permission to speak to those great elder teachers, our ancestors living among us, such as the great Queen Mother Goddess, Queen Afua, Queen Nambia Gambia, who lives in the UK, the great Queen Mother Sechat Ma'at Heraru, the great Queen Mother Nateri Nelson, the great Queen Mother Ast Ma'at Tefnut, the great Queen Mother Shima Ra'et, and I'd like to address the Sibas, to Dr. Professor Leonard Jeffries, to Professor James Smalls, to Baba Suni Valentine, to Mefundishi, and also to Jabari, and I'd like to make a special blessing and honor for permission to speak to my good friend and honorable friend, Reggie Mabry. Dua, dua, dua.
Dua.
And in that traditional aspect, they would say, Ashe, Ashe, we ask the ancestors for permission to speak. But I would like to let everyone know that we are now entering into the new age order of the great golden age of Ma'atapiyasa, in which now we must alter, change, and rearrange the Usa, Medu, Neferu. Usa means power, Medu means words, Neferu means divine. It's the divine words of power, Usa, Medu, Neferu. And to say it in phonetic value, we would say Heka, Heka'u. Just say Heka'u, and you're saying Usa, Medu, Nefer. And we perform our Hesi by identifying ourselves where we are located on the galactic elliptic plane of our part of the Milky Way galaxy, and knowing where the star substance is at all times. And by performing this Hesi, you connect yourself to what we call the first frequency specifically. Ra never Teshuvah. I just wanted to break everyone down so that when they see the difference, that you can identify and that you can grasp onto this first frequency, because we've just entered into a new age order. We have just passed through the great golden age of Pisces, which is Uncle Set. Pisces, of course, which is part of the conversation and dialogue and narrative we're going to discuss. But we call him Set, who is our Uncle Set. And we have just entered into the great golden age of Asar, which is Asar, because Set precedes Asar as we precess. Remember, we're precessors. The clock moves forward. The great zodiac and the great phenomenal precession precesses. It takes 72 years to precess 1 degree. So we're 10 years in. This is year number 10. So I just want everybody to hook on to this frequency so that we can, because we have 3 lines of defense. The first line of defense is your daily cosmic algorithm rock calibration. This is what our history details. Because we are astronauts on a spaceship called Seb that's spinning around the sun, and the sun is moving around the phenomenal precession. The phenomenal precession is moving around our Milky Way galaxy, and our Milky Way galaxy is expanding with the universe. So you shall no longer be lost in space. And when we finish the deciphering and explaining to you the 5 golden rules of the limit, you will know how to first frequency yourself upon the divine body frequency chart, so that you will no longer be a walking zombie. You won't be a zombie, and you won't be lost in space. You will acquire the ability to experience the phenomenal being. And again, I would like to thank our great host, Seba Clemson Brown. Many people who are elder know this great man. Many of you young need to know who he is. He was there at the beginning. He has dedicated his life into documenting everything that all the great Sebas that have come before us, all the elders who have transitioned. This is the man, this is the Seba, this is the Neja who documented everything. And we want to pay our respects to him, especially to to Seba Clemson Brown. We honor you for your lifetime of achievement and what you have done for us. We are honored, and we say to you, dua, 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 to you, Seba.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I shall begin my Hesi. No, I shall now send it back to our Queen Mother Goddess, our most revered, honorable Queen Mother Goddess, Asma'at Tefnut, so that she may lead us in our Hesi through the feminine energy. We are letting the feminine energy to facilitate and to direct us upon our path to immortality, because we came forth from the womb of the mother, and we shall return on our transitioning to that Milky Way band, which is the cosmic, invisible, and biblical cord, to connect to that Milky Way galaxy, to that black hole, become part of atomic energy, to make more light, to expand with the universe. So I must follow the laws of the universe and bring this back to our great Queen Mother, Asma'at Tefnut. Dua, 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 Queen Mother Goddess.
Dua, dua, Sebas. At this time, I will perform my Hesi to command the cosmic forces that allows me love, guidance, and protection through the daily experiences of ponderable matter, so that I may have permission to speak. So I will now begin my Hesi. Heteku, heteku, duwa, duwa, Nezarek Ramech, Hotep. Greetings and divine greatness, divine excellence to the first families, to my Nagas, my Shimsurus, my Nesubitis, my Muknatarts, my Sebas, my Sebats, my Hamets, the immortal ones of Ma'at cherished, phenomenon of precession, new age order, great golden age of Ma'at Hapi Asar, and to all citizens, descendants of the Nile Valley Cultural Cosmic Collective Consciousness Spirituality. O Asar Mukwat Necharu Panebu, mother of the Puat Necharus, mistress of pets, maker of mankind. She who is mighty in Usumedu Nefer Heka'u, divine words of power, mother of all initiations. We ask that you bless us humble servants for Ankh life being now present. For we seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Ma'atian ways and ancient Ma'atian truths. We strive evermore to become one with you in this world and in the existence to come. We ask that you bless us on this, the 65th Haru after the Helical Rising, 295 Harus remaining until Ubin Saptis, Cyrus Rising, Upuwat, Weprin Pet, Digit Heb, 29th Haru, 2nd Abet of Renunet, 4th Haru of Jehuti, 45th Haru, 3rd Abet, 1st season of Shamu, Renpet, AFNK/ST after founding of New Kemet, Naga Kemet, Samai, Tawi, phenomenon of precession, New Age order, great golden age of Ma'at Hapi Asar. We ask that you bless our families and friends and all those of us who gather together to worship in your most holy, sacred, and glorious ancient Tamarian name of Asar Mutwat Neturu Panebu, for in the art of seeking you there is much comfort. So as it is spoken, so shall it be written, so let it be done, so shall it be, for now and forever forward. Ra never tesha Ra, Kanatara Pu Pamaat, Ankwas Dejed, Ank Ujas Deneb, Never Iker Panabu, Peru Ma'ati, rising always in divine excellence with Ma'at, every day, all day, Dua, Dua.
Dua, Parata Pupama'at, Queen Mother Goddess, Asma'at Tepu. Your words are Macharu, you are true of voice, you are victorious, miraculously great, you have permission to speak before the ancestors, the ancient ones, and the Partnataru, because you have commanded the cosmic forces that allow us love, guidance, protection through the daily experiences of ponderable matter. And we say unto you, O great Queen Mother Goddess, Dua.
Yes. My brother, I think all of you, because a lot of times we don't understand exactly what is going on. But I think if we start with the blood that runs in our veins is as old as humanity, because the Creator did not make new blood. The blood that is in your veins, and I want us to listen at this and take it really for the knowledge that it brings. That blood running in your veins is the blood that ran in your mother's veins and your father's veins. And that is the blood that ran in their mothers and fathers' veins. And you can keep going back and back all the way to the first man and woman. So this blood that is flowing through our bodies contains all of history. It has the DNA of all of the changes. That's why when they did the genome project, they could trace everything back.
This came back from a certain
To an African woman and man, because the DNA in our bloods go back to the first humans, which were African people. Now, we're going to be discussing how do we access vibrations and how do we transform ourselves, because at this particular time, when the enemies of truth and justice and righteousness are all around us with the attempt to destroy us. But we are creation, and we can transform into a different aspect of our being simply by knowing our conscious abilities. And so we're going to be talking about how do we do this, because we're about saving our people. And so at this time, I don't want to take up any more time. I want to get started. So I'm going to ask Brother Ptah to get us on the way. Brother Ptah.
Dua. For me to properly get us on our way, I must perform my history, my sakru, my affirmation, and then I will lead you into the proper, into the laws of the living, of the frequency specifically, and then I will throw the stage to our great Siva, heading to our great Siva Kepapata, who shall harmonize us in the sounds and the acoustics properly to maintain this, and he will perform his hesi. But before I break the laws of my art, which I will never do, let me perform my Hesi first Sima, and I shall go Hete Poo, Hete Poo, Dua, Dua, Dua-oo, Dua-oo, Amazalak Ramech, E.M. Hotep, greetings and divine greatness, divine excellence to the first families of the New Age Order, my Nagas, my Shemsurus, my Nesubitis, my Hemet, my Siba, Sibat, my Mugatat, the immortal ones of my art cherished, phenomenon of precession, New Age Order, the Great Golden Age, Amada Asar, and all citizens, descendants of the Nile Valley Cultural Cosmic Collective Consciousness Spirituality. Oh God, Nebuchadnezzar, divine creator of all existence, master and possessor of light and radiation, of heat and movement, bless us humble servants for Ankh, life, being now present, for I seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Ma'atian ways and ancient Ma'atian truth. I strive evermore to become one with you in this world and in the existence to come. I ask that you bless us on this, the 65th day of the year after the heat of the rising, 295 days remaining until Ubin Subject, Cyrus rising, Upwa, Tamatawi, what intent does you have New Year's celebration, the 29th day of the second month of Benenet, the 4th day of Yehuti, the 5th day of the third month of the first season of Shemu, year number 10, AFNK/ST, after the founding of New Kemet, Naga Kemet, Samatawi, phenomenal precession, New Age Order, the Great Golden Age, and Amada Asar. We ask that you bless our families and friends and all of us who gather together to worship in your most holy, sacred, and glorious ancient primary name of Asar, Patnataru, Panebu, for in the act of seeking you, there is no comfort. So as it is spoken, so as it is written, so as it be done, so shall it be, for now and forever forward. Ra Nebuchadnezzar, Panata, Akupama At, Uncle Sejet, Uncle Jalsanev, Ubenefi Kia Pandaguru, my Ati, rising always in divine excellence with my At, every day, all day. Dua, Dua, Dua. So this Hesi is what we perform in order to connect to the first frequency specifically. So when you wake up in the morning, perform your Hesi, because when you woke up this morning, you woke up for one purpose only, for immortality. This is your divine birthright. When you go to sleep at night, you must perform your Hesi, because your Hesi connects you to the cosmic forces through our cultural spirituality, which is sacred science, divine math, and our cultural cosmic conscious spirituality. You have to triangulate at all times, adding astrology and astronomy in order for us to have absolute accountability and star validation. This is not spookism. This is our ancient cosmic collective consciousness spirituality. And it's always combined with the sacred science, the divine math, and our cultural spirituality with astrology and astronomy. So now you've awakened. Now the first thing you hit, bam, obstacles. Remember, we're going to allow you to observe the 3 lines of defense. Because when you wake up, there's predators all around you. They bringing up the demise. They plan on making us extinct. The first line of defense is your Hesi. Now, when you come out of your Hesi and you look on your wall, what's on your wall? You got the Gregorian calendar on your wall. You're already a loser. They've got you and you don't even know it. You got a Gregorian calendar on your wall. So we have a poem for you. Before the Romans and the Greeks, there were 9 days in every week, and time was kept by charting stars that were visible on our calendar. Aware of the movement of the earth, stars, and moon, these ancient African indigenous primordial ancestral peoples were cosmically attuned. So take down the Gregorian calendar from your wall. Second of all, take that watch off your arm. Because once you have that watch on your arm, I don't care if it's a Rolex, pawn it, get rid of it. It's deteriorating your spirituality because it's coordinated to GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, to UTC, Universal Time Coordinated. And that's Stonehenge, England, which is 52 parallels north of the equator. That cannot be the center of the planet. It cannot be the center of the world landmass. We all know that the Mercury in Giza, in Cairo, in Egypt is 30 longitude, 30 latitude, which is the center of the world, man matter. So I say that I'm not throwing away I'm not throwing away my Rolex. Now I might pawn it, but I'm not throwing it. I don't care what you do with it. Get it off your arm. Put it up somewhere in a drawer. I don't care what you do. Take it off your arm. Give your children a chance. Give yourself a chance. Now you have to remember, now you have to step forward into your daily routine. So first of all, you cleanse yourself. Of course, you go in the bathroom and you cleanse yourself. You brush your teeth, you wash, the dirty spots, you clean the dust off of you, and you scrub it off of you, and now you walk into the kitchen. This is where you find line of defense number 2. There are 5 rules to the limit. We do not have a diet because diet is in the
Before we continue on to the 5 golden rules of the living, I must say, your words are Macharu, the voice. You are victorious and righteously great. You have commanded the cosmic forces that allows you love, guidance, and protection through the daily experiences of ponderable matter. Your libation, Hesi Saku affirmation is splendor to the ears of the ancient ones, and the ancestors. At this time, Seba Kepra Ptah, if you would, speak your Hesi, Dua.
Hatepu, Duau, Nejarak, Ramech, Imhotep. Greetings in divine greatness, divine excellence to the first families. My Nagas, Shemsu Harus, Nesu Bitis, Hemet Sebas, and Sabat. Mut Ntur in the Turks, immortal ones of Ma'at, cherished phenomena of procession, New Age order, great golden age of Ma'at Hapi Asar, and all citizens and descendants of the Nile Valley, all descendants and precedents, cultural, cosmic, collective consciousness, spirituality. O Asur Mut Pa'ut Ntaru Nebu, mother of the Pa'ut Ntaru, mistress of Pet, maker of mankind, she who is mighty in Usur Medune Feru, divine words of power, mother of all initiations, bless us humble servants for life now present, for we seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Matian ways and the ancient Matian truth. We strive evermore becoming one with you in this world and in the existence to come. We ask that you bless us in the 65th Haru, or day of the year, after the Helioco rising, 295 Haru days, 2nd month of the internet, 4th Haru day of Jehudi, 3rd month, 1st season Shemu, year 10 after the founding of New Kemet, Naga Kemet Samai Tawi, phenomenal procession, New Age order, great golden age, Ma'at Hapi Asar. We ask that you bless our families and friends and those of us who gather together to worship in your most holy, sacred, and glorious ancient Tamarian Ren of Asrmut Pa'ut Necheru, for the art of seeking you. There is no much comfort, as it was written, so let it be spoken, so let it be done, for now and forever. Forward, Ra, never Teshara, Inter.
Dua, Seba Kepra Ptah. Your words to avoid. You are victorious and righteously great. You have commanded the cosmic forces that allows you love, guidance, and protection through the daily experiences of ponderable matter. Your libation, Hesi Saku affirmation is splendor to the ears of the ancient ones, nature rules, and the ancestors. Dua, Seba Kepra Ptah.
Hatepu. I'm Kepra Ptah. I'm a student of Baba and the Hem Netra Tapi, who is an ancestor by the name of Harikafra. I am also representing the teachings in which he has shared with me, and I've taken those teachings and I've looked into them and I've studied and I have discovered why my teacher was so much into music. This brother loved the harmonica. He loved the keyboard. He worked with various instruments. He was multi-talented, and he was always reminding me to perform what is called the triple hesi, and we're going to get into that as we go. So I would like to start this by quoting something that was written in some of the Greek works that have been plagiarized, or should I say plagiarized, the works of our ancestors.
Siba Ptah.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, Siba Siba Ptah sacred star wants to speak on the 5 golden rules of the living, if we may.
For sure.
Dua. Don't worry, Kepler. I'm following the Queen Mother Goddess. Whatever she says, I'm doing. I'm not breaking the feminine force. You can believe that.
No doubt. I'm absolutely
So
ready.
we shall begin.
Yes, Siba, but this is not my show. But I did interrupt to give you the floor back. But again, this is not my show. I just wanted to put things back in place. Do I?
In divine order, Queen Mother Goddess, because I stepped out of my lane, and you corrected us and placed us back on the path of the frequency. Remember, this is a first frequency, specifically Ra Nebuchadnezzar. This frequency will connect us from here. We've already established our connection with the planet Earth, with the moon, with the sun, and with the star substance. We've triangulated ourselves with the cosmic surroundings. This means that our body is now in harmony. And today might be your first day. We've had ancestors, billions of ancestors who have lived on this planet and who have died and transitioned, who never had their first day because they're suffering. They suffered from the hands of injured humanity. This is primordial temple discipline. To understand this primordial temple discipline, we are going to properly connect you to this first frequency specifically, so that when you come to the Constant Sound Tapvideo Transatlantic production, you shall be healed by the time you finish listening to this program. You will know, you will feel the vibration. If you feel a little tingle behind your ears, that's behind your cranium, that's the pineal gland. It's beginning to secrete the fluid. And if you feel some tingles going down your back, you feel some goosebumps, some of your chakras, they're beginning to ignite. Recognize your body, your Abaka Naku. The body is the temple that houses the body is the Merku, the temple that houses the Ba, the spirit of the Abaka that commands the cosmic forces that allow your love life to protect you. So to do this now and to maintain this frequency will bring you to the second line of defense is the rules of the Nugget. Remember, the food that you eat should be as the air that you breathe. In with the good, out with the bad. So rule number 1 of the living, it is a living, not a diet. We seek to live forever. So rule number 1 of the living is to eat only of the seed. Definition, if it doesn't if it doesn't have a seed in it, do not put it in your mouth. The only thing that you put in your mouth that doesn't have a seed is water. Rule number 1 is very simple. This connects you properly to the first frequency. So remember, we're trying to help assist you in having your first day. And the first day leads you to the mortality. Rule number 2 is never eat and drink at the same time. Never eat and drink at the same time. You're conditioned to put the food in your mouth and grab that glass of water on the table and wash it down. You're always washing that food down. That is Hellenistic tradition. Our African people would eat. We would drink the liquids first. Then when we began to eat, we would eat the food slowly. And the food produces liquid. There's liquid saliva in the food. You do not need liquid to drink the water down. The liquid is already in the food. So when you eat and drink at the same time, you create an acidy groove within your stomach, because the solid goes through your throat, to your stomach, down to the large intestine. And when you drink, it does the same process that goes to the small intestine. But when you mix them together, you create an acidy brew. This is why everybody has a big belly. This is why everybody's blowing up sideways, deformation. This is why everybody's losing their hair. Your hair follicles are burning out because the body is overworking. So rule number 2, to reiterate, is never to eat only of the seed. Rule number 3 is eat as the table earth prepares the food. Definition: from the tree, from the vine, from the ground. It's only coming from 3 places. Unless UNICEF is dropping down packages out of parachutes, it's only coming from generic sources from 3 forms, 3 places, and that's the trees, the vine, and the ground. And now, rule number 4 is never eat to your filth. Do not bless yourself. Rule number 4 is never eat to your fill. Do not glut yourself. Do not eat because it's unma'atin of you, and plus you're going to set the body down. The body's got to go to sleep. You know, you have to eat that flesh. All the flesh is going to lay down because the circuits have been overloaded. So remember, rule number 4 is never eat to your fill. And that's enough. That's all you need to eat. You don't need to eat till your belly pops up like your Buddha. Don't eat everything in the room. Save something for the kids. Send something to eat. Stop eating everything. Rule number 5 is to fast occasionally. For certain periods of the year, you must refrain from eating to cleanse, purify, and detox the body of its impurities. And so you must fast during what we call the Ipeteru, Yabitem Paru Pamaat, which is the Asarian Kemetic Solar Civil Lunar Calendar. We would fast during the solstices, the equinoxes, during the seasonal periods, and during the aphelion, the perihelion, or during the lunar cycles. It depends upon, and that begins to help you to assist you in your Reiki and your Seti training. So these are the 5 rules of the limit. We wanted to make sure that everybody knew these 5 rules, and guess what? You broke all 5 this morning. I know you got up this morning and ate that bacon and eggs. I know you drank that milk. I know you ate that butter. You know what you did. They know what you did. They got you bagged and tagged, they have you ready for an expiration date. So we have to begin, and this all falls under the title of this discussion today, which is Injured Humanity. And we're going to discuss later on after Siba Ptah breaks down the sounds and the resonance and the acoustics and how it heals you and how to heal you through sound. We're going to bring you to the pyramid text. We're going to bring you inside of the pyramid itself, inside of the step pyramid. And he's going to show you the changes that were used for sound healing. He's going to show you how our ancestors used these tools and these sounds through the Tibetic forces, through conductivity, discontinuity, and the ley lines and the positioning of these ancient megalithic architectural monuments that has these polymer and polygonal designs, and how they were used generically to heal the human body. And I would like to take time to bow out, and I would like to also say, do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. And we also, Queen Mother Goddess, we want you to present a $20 challenge to everyone to donate to our great Siba Clemson's Brown Cash App is right at the top of his picture. We would appreciate it because he has spent 40 years of his life dedicated to bringing you the most top information in our community from all the great Sebas. And we would appreciate if you could appreciate our Seba, Clemson Brown, if you donate. We have a $20 challenge, but $5, we'll take a $5 challenge, we'll take a $10 challenge, but we want to see the appreciation from the Ramet, from the family, for the dedication and the work that he does for us continuously. It is a lifetime contribution, and I will now send it to the great Queen Mother to introduce Keppel Ptah, or maybe Clemson Brown. I will see if Clemson Brown would like to say something. Do I.
Siva, Kepra Ptah, if you would, at this time, share with us your presentation on sound. Dua, dua.
Duahu, Hatep. I'm going to start off with a quote from Demetrius circa 200 BCE, and we're actually going to go much further than that. But first, it says, now his words, in Egypt, which we call Kemet, the priests sing hymns to the gods, which we call the Neteru. They sing the 7 vowels in due succession. And the sound of these vowels has such euphony, which means pleasant, that men listen to them instead of the flute and the lyre. That's Demetrius circa 200 BC. So music, pardon? Okay. Music in the human voice has been a unifying factor since the beginning. In ancient Kemet, we're shown that music clearly played a role in the development and healing of a society. And when it comes to the cosmological connection, we see that the ancients identified the planets not only with the Ntaru, which they call the deities, but also with sound. And sound was used to communicate with the forces of nature and to heal. Various priesthoods of that era used elevated consciousness through humming, singing, chanting, and toning. So Demetrius was referring to hearing the priest tone the sacred vows. Now, we learned the vowels in school, but let's examine that the word vow contains the word vow, V-O-W, which comes from a meaning which is solemn promise. And vow is hidden in the word vow. Vow comes from the Latin votum, meaning to make a promise to a deity. And also notice, votum is where we also get the word vote. So let that sink in for a moment. So we need to be aware of how we use our words and how our words can be used against us. Now, for those who are familiar with the teachings of the 5%ers and so forth, they have lesson 120. There's a degree that says, my word is bond no matter to whom or what, and I shall give my life before my word shall fail. Yes, words have power, and we must be mindful not only of what we say to others, but also what we say out loud and inwardly to ourselves. So when it comes to the power of sound, we see this knowledge was preserved in these civilizations along the Nile Valley and spread outward. We also see that they give a lot of credit to Pythagoras, who was an initiate who went through 22 years of education in Kemet. And he saw the connection with music, the geometry, astronomy, and the arithmetic. So this is known as the quadrivium, meaning the 4 ways. And there are 4 out of the 7 liberal arts used in the ancient world, and which has evolved in today's education. Also, number 4 is sacred to the aspects of creation in a form of Timu, electromagnetism, Ptah, the strong force, Kepra, the weak force, and Amen, which is gravity. So according to the chapters of Noah and the creations of Ra, the human race is known as the 7th form of life. Now there's something to that 7 that I want to cover in a little bit. We'll get there. But as the 7th form of life, we strive to attune ourselves with the first frequency, Ra Neber Teshera, since society has been out of tune due to injured humanity that has continued up to this day. So Ra Neber Teshera deals with the composition of cosmic background radiation, and we're going to get into how sound has been used by the Creator to shape creation. Cosmic background radiation is also understood to be a byproduct of what is called the Big Bang. It is the sound that holds together, shapes, and expands the universe. By attuning to this sound, we rise and expand in consciousness. And just like Uben Septet, the rising of Sirius, we're here to raise our serpentine fire, the Ra within our being, which rose from Nun, the primordial ocean of nothingness, as a string and a strand, and declared his name, a word of power, Makeru. The sacred name represents the shaping power of divine sound that permeates the universe. So we're going to go ahead and I want to introduce you to a few Hesses, but I also want to show you my discoveries as we go. So each and every one of us, we're a Ba, a spirit. According to Purdah Himaru, it says, my spirit is divine, or Nukba Ntur, or Nukba Netter. It goes on to talk about how one transcends into the next life. We may ascend to the highest regions in Sa, identified as Orion, like King Unas does in the pyramid text. Through higher education, we generate a new reality. The elders of the Holy House of Ra speak about a pre-Ptolemaic calendar, 8,766 hours per year, off 10 months of 36 days. So we strive to be the first frequency, dealing with 9 days in a week. You are conscious, meditating on consciousness itself. You and all things are part of the universe, the one song. Herodotus also spoke of the ancient priests of Kemet and their knowledge of the sacred vows, just like Demetrius. I cannot stress this enough that the priests would tone these sacred vows while performing their sacred ceremonies. This includes the opening of the mouth ceremony, as well as the recital of the Ptah Meru, also called the Book of Coming Forth by Day, Papyrus of Ani, among many others. This is the origin of our prayers, our words of power, Hekau, mantras, sacred hymns to the deities, or the Neter. In Kemet, the sound of a thing is vital to its existence. Everything has a Ren, which means name in Oredi Kemet, also known as the Meru Neter, also known as the hieroglyphic language, and so forth. This is the spoken language of ancient Kemet, which was the written script in the priesthood. Medu Neter, we see that the sounds of the Neteru were sacred and chiseled into the stone walls. The music, sound, and harmony were in the structures themselves. And when we look into the third dynasty, we also see where Imhotep had constructed for Zoser or Desher the step pyramid. When we observe this structure, we notice it has 6 layers. Now I'm going to make a comparison because I'm going to show you how deeply influenced and how far out the Nagas had spread with their ancient teachings. In Tibet, we see what is called a stupa, and this is known as a structure sacred to the Nagas of Buddhism. It deals with 6 layers, like the step pyramid, each representing a sound. When we look at the Dogon granaries, we see that the Dogon granaries of Mali are very similar to the stupas of Buddhist Tibet. Now, the word pyramid, mr, breaks down to mean fire in the middle. So we see that sound produces heat as it travels through the air, causing the atoms and molecules themselves to dance. So we look at the Buddhist stupa, we see that it's connected to a 6-syllable chant. They say Om Mani Padme Hum. We see a singular sound, or we see a singular method utilized by the chakra system that is utilized in India today, where we say Lam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om. So I'm going to connect that with our primordial language. But first, let's see how it sounds. We say Lam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om, Lam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om, Lam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om, Lam Vam Ram Yam Ham Om. Nam Yo Horin Gekyo, Nam Yo Horin Gekyo, Nam Yo Horin Gekyo. You see the 6? All right, now these are common mantras that we still use today. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Notice that we have the 6 syllables. Why 6? When we look at the vibration of 6, we see that it deals with justice, it deals with equality, it also deals with economics and the caring for a fellow human. It runs on that vibration. So we notice that these are 6-syllable chants. And we also notice that these very philosophies talk about compassion. When you look into the Yoruba tradition, you learn about Shango. Shango containing Ang, Ong. That is the Haru of the Yoruba people. But Shango's number is 6. And that is the Orisha in that tradition of music, drums, thunder, and lightning. The lightning represents the realization one gets when they reach the higher level. But we're dealing with the 6. In the Kemetic tradition, we recognize that there were 6 directions and a 7th direction, because we would pay homage to the 4 directions of Tuamutef, Quebsanu, Hapi, and Nebutet. Each one of these had a female counterpart. We also see that we had Geb and Nut representing the ceiling and representing the floor. So the initiate would pay homage to these 6 directions, but there's also a 7th direction. And that 7th direction takes you inward. And this is why when you look at the seed sounds and the sounds of various traditions, they may have these 6-syllable chants, but the 7th is silent because it takes you inward. It takes you beyond duality, where you transcend the sound, which is constantly creating, and you come to stillness. When you come to that stillness, you can take control over what you're creating, because we're constantly creating the situations in which we find ourselves in. So when we look at Ra, Neber, Tesha Ra, we see that that too has 6 syllables. Ra, Neber, Tesha Ra, Ra, Neber, Tesha Ra, Ra, Neber, Tesha Ra. With Ra, that reverberates with the power of the solar plexus, building up your will and confidence. And that's just an example. So we're going to talk more about that. So a simple observation of the English language, we see that there are vowels and consonants. We see that some of the words we use today have the same consonants as ancient words with similar meanings. Examples are hut and het, meaning a house. Sin-ur, meaning greater or older brother, as senior, neter, nature, para, house of Ra. Pyramid, meaning fire in the middle, and so on. So there's another glyph. It's called the Nefer. It's actually the lungs and trachea. It means beauty, goodness, harmony. It is the windpipe, the trachea connected to the heart, implying that the voice is aligned with the heart, which speaks truth, which means that the words of the individual is in harmony, therefore creating beautiful things and more beautiful experiences. The person living in truth can utter the most beautiful words. This also reminds us that the voice goes hand in hand with the breath. The breath is associated with Unk, life. And this is why we see, and they show the deceased with the Unk being held up to their mouths by Het Haru or another deity, meaning that they're given the breath so that they may not only speak, but live again. So in the age of Ma'at Hapi Asar, we see that it deals with the air element. So your voice is generated by your lungs and trachea. So to find your voice is to speak your truth. And this is the aspect of Nefer or Infr, in which the lungs and trachea are made to resemble the lute. We utter sounds that travel through the air. We know that sounds travels through the air at 1,100 feet per second. They call it Aquarius in this age. But we see a man, Atapi Asar, has come to quench our thirst with wisdom. We have returned to the great awakening of the 26,000-year procession, and we will benefit when we breathe correctly, eat correctly, and drink more water. We also want to speak into the water, uttering our intentions into it as we drink it. The food that you eat, being as the air you breathe. Hadikafa did Tai Chi, breath movement, and so forth. Not only does this help you with your balance, but it also increases the levels of patience, bringing harmony to the 2 hemispheres of the brain, meaning that you can equally work with your ability to create as well as dissect. You can break things down and bring it together and put it in the right place. It also awakens one's sensitivity to the energy fields around us generated from our actual bodies and the environment and so forth. So when you look into the Great Pyramid itself, you also see where the king's chamber had a room made in a certain way. And when you actually hit the sarcophagus or the coffer that was in the middle with your fist, it would reverberate within the whole room. And it is said that for those who have went in there and laid or have been around the sarcophagus or the coffer, it is so quiet that you can literally hear the blood moving through your veins. That's how quiet it is. So we learn how to breathe, drink, how to move. We actually change the atmosphere around us for the more positive vibes in which we want to create. However, when we do the opposite, let's say we're constantly eating all the wrong foods, we're not getting a nice amount of rest, we're not drinking enough water, this causes us to have foggy headedness, forgetfulness. This impedes our learning process and so forth. And this is why the treatment of the 4 vital organs were so important to the ancient ancestors. These organs were placed in canopic jars, and they were so important that each of these 4 organs were seen as the embodiment of one of the Shemzu or Mesu Haru, or the followers of Haru. Each were guarded by a sacred mother, Netert. Lungs were sacred to Hapi, the baboon. He is guarded by Neith. The liver was sacred to Mesta, human, who is guarded by As. The stomach sacred to Dwamatef, the jackal, who is guarded by Nebutet. And the small intestine sacred to Quebsanuf, the hawk, who is guarded by Serket. Hadikafra also taught that each deity's function within us has different aspects of our personality and consciousness, and you can invoke these deities with sound vibration, such as Ong, or the triple Hesi formula, as prescribed in the Temple of the White and Gold Lotus. So we also use the 4 directions, and we face them every day, chanting our Hesi, making sure that we are actually spiritualizing our environment, because sound needs a medium. It travels through solid liquids and gas. So you can actually infuse sound into anything. This includes inanimate objects. So we see the 4 directions connected with the 4 elements, the 4 field forces as Atum, Ptah, Kapara, Amun, and so forth. We see that the disk represents atomic energy and expanding universe, the weak force, and Amen, which is gravity. We see the age of Ma'at Hapi Asar is now upon us. So we look at Ma'at, we see her kneeling. We see her wings. She brings justice and balance because she is grounded in truth. And every 130 years, we gain a day, a leap year, and we slide out of alignment. When we slide out of alignment, we become spiritually out of tune. This is why it's important to acclimate these sounds to the sacred calendar. We lose recall and no longer call out the names and vibrations proper to the relevant time, just like we forget to call on those ancestors in whose shoulders we stand upon. Therefore, we send out the wrong signals and contribute to the confusion brought to us via propaganda and miseducation. The Cometians had the triple calendar that was solar, lunar, sidereal, and so forth. The Cometians understood the 3 laws, or the laws of planetary motion, having a fixed calendar. We keep a stable backbone, or aka the jet pillar. So on July the 20th, we would begin the celebration. On December 27th, or no, the 21st, we had the Asar, Unefer, Kenti, Amenti, and so forth. July 22nd, Sut. July 23rd, Aset. July 24th, Nebutet. And July 25th, Uben Septet, meaning Sirius rising. So there are some days when you look into the literature, they were considered to be what we call unfortunate days. So those are the days in which you would fast. Those would be the days that you do your Hesi and so forth. Speaking of that, it is good to have a routine. When you set up your shrines or set up your altars, it's good to go to them a certain time of the day and keep that time, because what you're doing is you're establishing a relationship with not only what you do, but with the very atmosphere around you. You're establishing a relationship with the divine forces and the ancestors. And this is why time is so important in this particular physical reality, understanding how it works. This deals with language. This with the ability to use the vibrations to call upon these forces. Every language uses vowels and consonants when it comes to speech, but not necessarily in the written script. So as an example, when you look at the Hebrew or the hieroglyphic language, the Medu Neter of Kemet, you will see that most of the script consists of what we consider consonants. This is why there's so much speculation and debate around how the words of both languages may have sounded. So we take note of the ruins of these ancient civilizations, and we see the testimony of such knowledge that have stood the test of time. And we also notice that the stories match up. In fact, you will notice the similarities to the construction of pyramid structures, like both complexes of Giza and Teotihuacan in Mexico. There are these pyramids that line up in threes that appear to match up with Orion's belt. Not only that, in Mexico, the ancient calendar goes back to 0 on the 25th day of July, and they call this the Day of No Time. So we see that there is a connection. These societies build these monolithic temples and monuments, and they all share a common story, that creation is held together with light and sound. The ancients also spoke about the ability to transform your environment, your inner self, as well as the outcome of an event through chanting words of power, like Hekau and mantras. Just like there are 36 days in a month, according to the Kemetic calendar, we awaken 360 degrees of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We are born through self-creation. So we look at some of our famous chants like Om. We can look at ancient Kemet and see how that corresponds with Amen, Amun, Ama. The word Om, Aum, and Ama are also the sounds representing the sun as well as the Great Mother. So vibrating these particular sounds, you will be able to fill the holes in your auric field when you're continuously making this sound, this heka. It will cause the auric field to expand. You can get so powerful doing these chants and hestes. You'll be able to walk into a room, people will feel your energy and they will look back at you and you don't even have to say anything. So you do this long enough, you will go into that part of a menta, that hidden part, the hidden land, and experience the first time, the Zeptepi. We must release ourselves and see God ourselves to experience the phenomena of being. That means you must lighten your load. So the aspect of us that is immortal is permanent, meaning it cannot be conditioned. So we must understand that our universe and its properties consist of solids, liquids, and gases, and all that is light slowed down and shaped by sound. Like light, sound can be measured by distance. In order for sound to travel, there needs to be a medium such as air or water. Sound cannot travel in a vacuum and must travel through something. Sound is produced by vibration. When these vibrations hit the eardrum, the vibrations go to the middle of the ear, which contain tiny bones called ossicles, through which these vibrations reach the inner ear. The inner ear looks like a snail shell that contains tiny hairs that converts the vibrations into electrical signals, in which the brain translates as sounds. These sounds affect how you feel and think. We can change our personality via sound. Hence, persona, meaning mass, breaks down to mean through sound. For those who are familiar with African ceremonies, where they call on spiritual forces like orishas, you will notice it is done not only with singing and dancing, but also with the sounds and tones of the drum. The constant playing of the drums put the individuals who are the most receptive into a trance, where this person will go through trance possession, in which they are said to be mounted by a spiritual force like an orisha. So sounds and vibrations that produce that send signals into the universe itself. So we have to be careful what we say, not only out loud, but to ourselves. We're constantly picking up on frequencies that are around us, and these sounds are being influenced, or should I say influencing, not only ourselves, but the people around us. So it's important. If you can get a hestia or a sound vibration of a positive meaning and a positive vibration, the chant that as much as possible, because it can literally change how you feel. So we look at when Ra came into existence, a sound was produced in the form of waves. These waves and vibrations have been shaping our universe ever since. The sound Ra is a sound of the solar plexus. Ra is light and heat necessary for life to exist. And when we breathe, heat is reduced due to the friction in our bodies. Life is reduced because movement generates friction. We are the living image of the universe. And just as the universe breathes in and out, we too breathe in and out. Even the breath has to do with timing. So the triple hesti, as I learned in the Temple of the White and Gold Lotus, goes like this. Anecharak Amin-Ra, Nutatinit Amin-Ra, Anuk Amin-Ra. This is because Harikafra was a priest of Amin-Ra. And we know that that dealt with the age of Aries. However, look at the chant and look at the qualities of the sound. Because a lot of the sounds that we're using, like the vowels, they don't necessarily mean anything. It's the sound that has an effect on your glands, it has an effect on your nervous system, and on your subconscious. So when you say Anech Harak, Amin-Ra, you're saying, show me your face, Amin-Ra. Nutatinit, Amin-Ra. I am the power of Amin-Ra. Anuk, Amin-Ra. I am Amin-Ra. The triple hesti, Ra activates awareness and the power of the will. Along with this hesti to Amin-Ra, we also greet his family, Mut and Kanzu, because we didn't just deal with a male principle, we deal with a female and the male and the child. The same formula is utilized in various other aspects in Kemetic culture. You don't find one without the other. You're not just going to find a male deity without a female counterpart. It just didn't work that way. They dealt with complementaries. They didn't see them as opposing, but they seen them as complementaries. Therefore, divine masculine and sacred feminine energy is what makes one whole, and therefore the holy child is conceived and acknowledged. So you have used the divine triangulation and have awakened the cosmic force and the positive and negative as well as the neutral. So I have what is called the sistrum. This right here is sacred to Het Haru, and as you can see, we have the face of Het Haru right here. The sistrum, the tambourine, the clapper, all these instruments were used in ancient Kemet, and they were sacred to Het Haru. So when we do our chants, we shake the sistrum. The sistrum is said to break up negative energies that may be built up in your walls and built up in the room, in your space around you. And the sistrum was also used in various ceremonies. So this might actually distort the sound, but I'll let you get an idea of what it sounds like. Anitarak, Aminra, Nitated, Aminra, Anus, Aminra, Nitarak, Aminra, Nitated, Aminra, Anus, Aminra, Nitarak, Aminra, Nitated, Aminra, Anus, Aminra. And then you said Nitarak, Aminra, Nitated, Aminra, Anus, Aminra. And then you'll go into silence. And what you'll do is that you're going to breathe in that Hesi. You're going to breathe in a Netarak Mirah, Nutaterra Mirah, a Nuka Mirah, hold it. Then you're going to breathe it out. Netarak Mirah, Nutaterra Mirah, Nuka Mirah, hold it. So you're building up the energy with your in breath, pause, the out breath, and the pause. Am I clear? So Netarak Mirah, Nutaterra Mirah, Nuka Mirah, pause. Silently as you pause, Netarak Mirah, Nutaterra Mirah, Nuka Mirah. Then as you're breathing out, then pause. And you can do the same Hesi with Ra Never Teshara. Saying Ra Never Teshara mentally as you're breathing in, hold it, Ra Never Teshara. Breathing out, Ra Never Teshara mentally, hold it, Ra Never Teshara. And you're doing this 4 times because you're establishing the foundation. Number 4 is dealing with the foundation that you want to establish as you set the precedence of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on. You right?
Yes.
Yes, Savage.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Brother Ptah.
I thought that I could talk. My brother is phenomenon. I hope everybody is taking notes. And when he was saying the triple Hesi, you should have been saying the triple Hesi with him. Okay.
No, that's true, because the more we're not used to hearing this language. Our languages have been taken away from us a long time ago. Not even our names do we say. So we're not even used to hearing our names. But we need to hear this. And the more we hear it, the less foreign it sounds. Just like you. I listen at you, and I'm beginning to make out sounds that you make out. I can kind of repeat them. I repeat them. So I'm appreciative of that. And we have time, if we have time, to go into the damage that Hellenization has done worldwide to African people. We can talk about that a little while before we go down today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we wanted them to get the spiritual resonance in the sounds, and how the network can perpetuate this sound so that it resonates. But what we're about to address now is the topic of discussion of today's program on transatlantic production, tapvideo.com. And we hope that everybody is appreciating our guest feature with Kepler Ptah and the triple Hesi and the sounds and the resonance. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also, don't forget to support our brother Seba Clemens Brown. His cash app is STAP video with the $sign. So let's all contribute. Let's all show our appreciation. And now what we're going to do is going to break down. Topic of discussion is injured humanity. This is what we are today. We have been labeled injured humanity. Mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery. I hope everybody has their notebook out. Take your notes out. And you, especially if you followed us from our previous broadcast a couple of days ago. And what we're going to figure out is, why is it that they can pass down to their children and their descendants and their descendants how to maintain our mental, physical, spiritual subjugation, yet we cannot pass down to our children and our descendants how to revive our liberation or our divine birthright of immortality. And it's in the public domain. All theologians know this. All ecclesiastic people know this. Why do not black people know this information? Why do not the scholars speak of this? Why do not the scholars speak of the information that is in the public domain? They have a catalog. They have a kit in which has a step-by-step instructions on how to maintain your mental, physical, spiritual subjugation. And it all begins again with your spirituality. The first thing they stole from you is spirituality, and your spirituality was governed by the light, by Ra, by time. And once they understood how to corrupt the time, is when they began to place us under the, there was a decree in edict. It's called inhumanity. As you look at the picture there, you'll see it says inhumanity. In the British archives, it's called the Happy Children of Africa. They call us the Happy Children of Africa. And we was known as inhumanity because they meant to injure us. They meant to subjugate us. They meant to place us into mental, physical, and spiritual bondage. Every day of your life, 24 hours a day, you was to live in fear. They was to castrate you. They was to burn you. They was to shoot you. They was to put the most excruciating pain upon you 24 hours a day so that you would never have time to think of who you are. You're living in fear. You're living in chaos, just as you live today. And people ask today, well, why is it that they hate me? Jesus, you keep calling upon this Jesus that never existed. Everybody knows that Jesus never existed except black people. They brought you on a boat from over here through the diaspora on a boat called Jesus. You have to understand, please bring us back, Queen Mother, to the pictures of the cartouches, 32 cartouches or schematics in which you understand the beginning of our subjugation began when they changed our time. We went from a solar cycle lunar calendar to just a lunar calendar because the lunar calendar is a seasonal calendar used for agriculture, for growing crops. So we went from 9 days in a week to 7 days in a week. We went from 4 months in a year to 12 months in a year. And so the Kemetic calendar that you see today is a fraudulent calendar because it perpetuates the colony, the first of the Iraqi September men, which is a seasonal calendar. Now, don't get me wrong, the lunar calendar is a great calendar because you got to feed yourself. But our calendar integrated the solar aspect, the sidereal aspect, and the lunar aspect. And in the lunar aspect, the solar aspect, and the sidereal aspect, it means that you can attain your divine birthright. This is the precious treasure. This is your divine birthright. This proves with undisputable evidence that there is life after death, that there is immortality. They stole your immortality. And so if you show them the pictures, 754 AUC, please Google it. If you have a wireless device next to you, I expect all the scholars to perform their due diligence because I know Reggie Mayberry's listening. Reggie Mayberry's listening, and I know I'm bringing the receipts and I'm bringing the requisition slips so that you can do your own due diligence. 754 AUC, Ab Urbe Cordita, upon the founding of the city of Rome, is when they altered the calendar. Who was in the distance then? So we count 2,020 years ago is 0 on the Gregorian chronological timeline. We count backwards using the Gregorian chronological timeline. Then we count forward. We go to 46 BC, which is Julius Caesar, the Julian calendar. We go to 300 BCE, which is Ptolemy the First, Soter, Serapis, September, Pinocchus 2 and 3. And then we go up to 754 AUC. We already covered this. I'm going to breeze right by it. We're just going to tap onto it. We're just going to touch on it a little bit. But they were trying to bring together why we are considered inhumanity, why everybody thinks that you're a slave, why you think that it's normal for you to think that you're a slave. It is the most ridiculous. It is absurd. It is dysfunctional for a melanated person to have a European mind to actually think that this is normal. And they have a new normal for you. The new normal is a new world order. And the new world order, they're going to exterminate you because they no longer need us. They needed us for the last 4,000 years because of our melanin. They're still trying to master our melanin. But this is AI. This is artificial intelligence. They're going to destroy this planet and move to the next one. So that's what they do. So what you have to understand is how is it that we ended up in this predicament? So in from 754 BCE or AUC, the Kush kings were on the throne, Sparta, Pianki, Dahaka, Shabaka. These are the Nubian kings. And then when Dahaka went up there and saved the Israelites or whatever he did, he opened the floodgates. And when they came down, they began to learn what it was that made us tick. They made a dossier. You know, a dossier. They found out what made us breathe, what made us eat, when we went to the bathroom, what made our crops grow, how we loved our women, how we raised our children. And then what they did was they corrupted it, they fragmented it, they plagiarized it, and then they regurgitated it back to you in an unholy manner called history or history. We will not be discussing history today. We're discussing our story. Can we just take time out to speak on our story, of our divine lineage? Do you know what it feels like to be an uncrowned Nasut Hemet, king and queen, lacking honor, a crown, a throne, a Merku, a solar system, lunar calendar, and just about everything? Well, let me tell you of our story, of our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors in their glory. Those of us who were born from the great line of Nasut and Hemet, kings and queens. Those of us who were born from the great line of Nasut and Hemet, kings and queens. From diamonds and pearls and emeralds and all sorts of precious things, everyday trinkets for those of us who were born from the great line of Nasut and Hemet, kings and queens. Everyday trinkets for those of us who were born from the great line of Nasut and Hemet, kings and queens. But without your past, you can only live life in half man, half woman, half beast, half slave. And this trend of thought is all that you have sought, all that you have bought without knowledge of yesterday, without knowledge of yesterday. I'm going to continue with another poem because we're trying to build a frequency here. We're trying to take the tension off because everybody, we got to bring the tension down and get the frequency vibrating. So I shall say, Anu Heru, Anu Heru, I am Heru, I am Heru. I give you my wings so that you may fly. I give you my eyes so that you will never die. Oh, you divine Nagas, Shemserus, Nasubitis, Hemet, Siba, Sibat, Gatat, the immortal ones of my cherished, gather, come hither, rally unto me, and I will lead you to the true righteous Ma'atian path of immortality. Follow the movement of the stars, Subset, Cyrus, and Ra, and you will find yourself in a perfect state in space and time. Acknowledge the divine cosmic environment that you are seeing, and you will desire to acquire the ability to experience the phenomenon of being. The prophecies state that we will be sent something from the past to join with something from the future. Something from the physical world to join with the spiritual world. The Samatawi union of both the past and the future, the physical and the spiritual world, will be contained in the revelation of a secret, mystical, spiritual diagram called the Ipeteru Shabitem Twaru Pama'at, to ensure your divine birthright of immortality and to facilitate the journey of immortality, to be reborn, renew as a star, expanding with the universe forever and ever. It's just something just to hook you up to a nice frequency to our ancient ancestral poetry. And so we go back to ancient humanity. So During this time, they joined up against us. This is during the time when the Nesubitis, it was passing. As remember, as we begin to relate to this, to our story, as above, so below. We must relate to the phenomenon of recession. We must relate this to the 26,000 year cycle of the phenomenon of recession as we move, as the sun moves to each and every sign of the zodiac. Every 2,160 years, the sun passes through each and every sign. And we have now returned back to ground zero, to the great golden age of Asar, which is known as Aquarius. So this is where we're at now. So we count back 2,160 years. Count back 2,160 years, one great age, and we end up in the great golden age of Pisces, of Aries, which is Amen. Because we just went back 2,160 years on the Gregorian chronological timeline. We can use that as our reference point for those of you who have not advanced far enough to use the methodological style timeline. Then we go back 2,160 years. That's the great golden age of Taurus. So we've actually been in bondage, in mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated status for 4,000 years. They've been working on us for 4,000 years. They have been putting their knee to our neck. They've been, the 4, 6, 7 knee to, we got a 4, 6, 7 knee to the neck. We got one of these brothers. We got them down. Should we take them out? Yep, take them out, take them out. And when they take us out, and the police get exonerated, because it's the law. Everybody knows it's the law. So let us find out when this law took place. This is the Casual Killing Act, 1669 to the present, 1669, Virginia. Google it. Casual Killing Act, 1669, Virginia. It's a legislative law that says that if any Caucasian person sees a melanated person who looks them in the eye, they have the right to condition them, to place them into subjugated slavery. And if in the act of that subjugation they bring about their demise or their death, they cannot be prosecuted. It also says in 1669, Virginia, that if in the act of me subjugating this person, this melanated person, and my wife assists me, and you bring about your demise, we cannot be prosecuted. And if my dog, I thought it was a joke. Read it. If my dog who's standing beside me assists me in the act of subjugating and conditioning this melanated person, and it brings about their demise, my dog cannot even, you can't even prosecute his dogs. That's why all these police that are being acquitted, they cannot go to jail because it's the law. It's open season on black people. Everybody on the planet knows that it is legal to kill black people. It's called an unbridled license. Please bring the receipts, bring the requisition script. Somebody please Google on your ultimate wireless device. Please Google unbridled license. It means that not even blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus comes out the sky can't save you from killing your black ass. It is the law. All black people must die. They must maintain subjugation. This is Virginia till now. It's the same thing. There's nothing changed. Every officer that kills you is being released. It's called injured humanity. And so how did this come about? So after the Battle of Kadesh, when Ramesses attacked, when he came down the mountain, please Google the Battle of Kadesh, Kadesh. When Ramesses attacked all the united fronts of the Caucasian nations, they gathered against him, and he ran down the hill. It's supposed to be a propaganda text that's written on the Temple of Luxor. He goes down the text, he says, charge, and nobody follows behind him. And he had Ra rising over the mountain, shining down on the Hittites and the Hyksos, or whoever they were, and he blinded them, and he went to the whole army, and he smoked the whole army. That's what it says on the Temple of Nebuchadnezzar. They say it's a whole bunch of smoke and gas. But after this happened, they learned how to join together against us. And when the brothers began to fight after Amenhotep IV, Amenhotep III, because Amenhotep IV is Akhenaten, And of course, the fifth was Ankh-Amen, who changed his name to Ankh-Aten, who changed his name to Ankh-Amen. But Aten was the son of Amenhotep IV, and his mother was Queen Ptah. And at this time, it became the jealousy. The agents were changing. Remember, as above, so below, the forces, the polaric forces, the resonance, the sounds, the frequencies. Daddy loved you more than he loved me, so daddy loved me. So he killed that brother, they killed that brother. The outside foreign invasion seen the chaos that was going on, and they attacked. The Hittites. Or maybe it was the Hyksos. One of the other. And so we know that, boom, during this time is when they began their assault. And as they came in and they conquered Kemet, then they went to Nebuchadnezzar, 666 BCE. Perform your due diligence. Nebuchadnezzar has a son named Nebuchadnezzar. After that came the Babylonian king. Then came the Persians with Darius. Please show the pictures, Queen Mother, of the whole pictures of all the kingdoms that were subjugated by Darius. So we can show the residents of Kemet was one of them. And after Darius, he had a son named Xerxes. Everybody knows Xerxes. Okay? In the movie The 300, you know Xerxes. He had an army of slaves. And he went around conquering the world. Then we go down from Xerxes down to 300 to the Greeks. And after the Greeks came, when the Greeks came Alexander. And at this point that the word Hellenization come into being, because the Greeks were fond of calling themselves the Hellens. They were Hellens. And what they knew was they was going to go back to Oblivion when they transitioned. They wasn't going to expand with the universe, but they didn't care, because they knew that their sons and daughters would inherit this planet. And since 330 BCE, they've inherited this planet. They ended up this castrating. They've been placing you under the most appreciation of pain. They have been performing the crucifixion. The crucifixion means the infliction of pain throughout the whole body. They were sticking needles and knives and cutting off your tongue and pulling out your eyes and castrating you. Then they was burning you. Then they would shoot you and stab you. Then they would take their body parts and they would sell them. They would keep them in the holes for trophies. This is what was going on as they was beating and burning. And this is called, to Hellenize, this is called the Hellenistic doctrines of ancient humanity. And of course, there's Christopher Columbus here. Here comes the Spaniards now. They go to the Americas and they find out, boom, we got more niggas over there, more Nagas. They were really Nagas. Of course, every nigger is a potential Naga. They knew we was Nagas, but at that time we was in a peaceful state of mind, and they came with the guns, they came with the diseases, and bam. Now we're being shipped over, and now everybody finds out that, hey, there's a market in the slave trade. Oh, we can make billions and billions, and every country on this planet made their money on the slave trade, on the back and the sweat and the brow of our African people. This is called the Hellenistic paradigm doctrines of Indian humanity. Then comes forward then we came to the diaspora, or the diaspora, tomatoes, whatever part of the pond you're from in English you want to call it. We call it the diaspora. Then you have the Mid-Atlantic divide when we was jumping the ship. So only the best of the strongest made it to America. And when we got to America, they placed us under mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery, and it became the Great Divide, and they separated the mother from the child, and the child from the mother, and the father was killed, was hanged, to show you what we're going to do. The place, this is it here. This is injured humanity. Please don't tell me that you do not know injured humanity. Don't let anyone know you don't know what injured humanity means. It means you have been. It was a decree of equity. So to get back to the point, how they first initiated that under Alexander, when they came together with all the United European countries came together, they took us to court. It's called the first kangaroo court. We wasn't even present, and it's called execution of sentence of judgment. Execution of judgment was that the will never be another global Naga presence on this planet. And then they found us guilty. Found us guilty of being melanated. And they said, your sentence is death. We sentence you to injure humanity, which means that if any Caucasian person sees a melanated person, you have the right to subjugate them, to condition them, to place them into bondage, and to whip them, to beat them, to castrate them until they believe you to be their God. And so this went on until today, all the way up until the present, where we have Black Lives Matter. Everybody knows that Black lives don't matter. It's the law. They have an unbridled license. So, they arrested the police. Are they going to prosecute them? They let them go. Everybody just, I thought he was going to let them go. We thought this time that they were going to get him. They don't understand. The lawyers in front of the judge saying, Your Honor, we're going to go through this again. You already know the law, Your Honor. The law says injury, humanity, mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery. It's the law. It is the law. It's been the law for not 400 years. It tell you 400 years. It's 4,000 years. It's too great golden age. You have to learn how to tell cosmic time, get away from this Gregorian chronological timeline. You are mental, physical, spiritual, subjugated slavery, believing in a God that don't even exist. They got you believing in the visible God. And then when you don't want to believe in that, you want to believe in some guy called Allah, and the Muslims were the biggest slave traders there ever was. They stole, there was 50 million black people they took out the Sahara, and by the time they got them to the destination, there was only 20 million. There was 30 million, they were just chopping up all the way home. Just to set an example, the Muslims were the greatest slave traders there were. So to be a Muslim in the 1950s and 1960s and 1970s, the Muslim information was the quickest information out there, so everybody became Muslim. I understand. I took up that information myself. I became a 5%er. I became a Mau. I became a Black Panther during that time, back in the 50s and 60s. That's when our temple opened up. I'm from the Temple Pearl, the Holy House of Ra, Boston, Massachusetts. Right now, I am the CEO and co-founder of the Naga Ship Association. And at the Naga Ship Association, we are developing a social application website and courses of communication for the interested in taking part in this new age order that we have now dawned upon. They have a new world order, and in this new world order, they're going to have a global currency, a virtual global currency. So all that pimp hotep you're doing, all that hustling and scrambling and gambling for yourself that you're doing, and all that movie star making and basketball money making that you're doing, at the end of the day, they're going to have you put a chip in your hand in order to cash that check. And they're going to make you take a vaccine. And each one of these is suicide. So you're already dead. This right here, so we have the Casual Killing Act 1669, and we have the Casual Killing Act 1619 New York, 1669 Virginia, 1619 New York, and now we have the Georgia Guidestone. Now, if this don't wake you up, just jump in the ditch. There's nothing we can do for you. These are the Georgia Guidestone. Continue with the slides of the Georgia Guidestone. It's written in 6 languages on 6 megalithic slabs. It's written in Chinese, it's written in Korean, it's written in Hebrew, it's written in Nagdu, it's written in Arabic, and it tells you how they must depopulate the world by 500 million people. 500 million people must die in order for them to balance out this new world order. It's called the Georgia Guidestone. Please Google Georgia Guidestone for those of you who have no idea what the Georgia Guidestone is. It's been there since 1980. It's been there over 40 years now. Nobody seems to know who erected it. They know who erected it. And it tells the story. It says here, maintain the humanity under 500,000 or 5 million. I don't know how many zeros there. I got my glasses on. I'm half blind. And perpetuation of the balance with nature. Their nature. When they say 500,000 people or 5 million people have to die, they're talking about melanated people. They're talking about you. That's why they dropped that pathogen. That's why that pathogen was dropped called COVID-19. But they had the DNA all squabbled up, and now they're killing us up. But right now, they're perfecting. They're going to drop pathogen number 2. So all your children are not going back to school. Now your children will be taught online. We must develop courses, virtual courses, in which our children can learn at home. Here it is, the Georgia Guidestone. And that's what we will provide for you at the Naga Ship Association and our institute and our Nagatian Institute. And I think I covered just about enough of that on engineering. I would like to now show them that they have a new world order. But you gotta understand that we are spiritual people. We are the Nagas. We are the universal monarchs. We are the immortal ones. We are connected to the cosmic environment, to the 26,000 year cycle of the sun moving through each and every sign of the zodiac. This is the cosmic revelation. I'd like to present to you today the Star Gospel, because we are going to bum rush this whole scene. Everyone will all be Nagas, because every 2,160 years there is one who delivers the divine breath. The divine breath of the New Age order. But this is a 26,000 year cycle. When we just completed the whole 26,000 year cycle, we have landed a year number 0. We're 10 years into this New Age order, the great golden age of Asar or Asar, and it takes the sun 72 years to preset. That means to preset, because the clock is moving clockwise. The signs are moving clockwise. The days are moving clockwise. But the zodiac moves backwards. It precesses. It takes 72 years for the sun to precess 1 degree, and it must be passed through 2,150 years. We are now 10 years into the 62 years left on the precession of the great golden age of Asar or Asar, and I am Ptah, seeker, I am the keeper of time. I am the word scribe, master craft, and the keeper of set time, the test of Ra. And I would like to say to all my Sivas and Sivats to please throw away that phony Kemetic calendar of 30 days. If it has 30 days in a month, it's a Gregorian calendar. The Chinese have 30 days. The Koreans have 30 days. Everybody has a 30-day calendar, because as long as there's a 30-day calendar, then you will never wake up. Because they teach you the 3 motions of the earth. The first motion of the earth, it rotates on its axis. Today is 24 hours, which means the second rotation, the revolution of the earth, is 365 and a quarter days. But originally, the first motion of the earth was 24 hours and 35 minutes, which means the second motion is 360 days. And of course, there's 8,766 hours in a year, which means that there's 10 months in a year. Each month has 36 days, 4 weeks in a month, 9 days in a week, and 8,766 hours in a year. This means it takes 26,000 years for the sun to pass through each. That schematic here shows you in the middle, when the sun passes through the center of the Milky Way galaxy, it was indicated in the Gregorian calendar in 2012 AD, which was only 8 years ago, that our sun passed through the Milky Way galaxy to the center, which meant that our sun has passed through each and every sign of the zodiac. So we have just lived in 2 great ages. Those of us who have survived this last onslaught of genocide and COVID, those of us that are still living today, are now living in the great golden age of Asar, which is called Aquarius. We know this. This is not hypothetical. This is not the top level smoke on you. This is called knowing the cosmic forces that allow you love, guidance, protection through the daily experiences of fundamental matter, where you can look at the spring equinox on the Gregorian calendar on March 21st, before the sun rises, and you look to the east, and whatever constellation is 23.5 degrees from horizontal is where we're located. Here it is right there. If you see the sun right at east on the spring equinox, and to the right of the sun, just a little bit up, there's a line going up to the right. That's the ecliptic plane. That's the plane that the zodiac passes down. And the sign of zodiac and the sign of Pisces or Set is below the horizon. It is not visible anymore. And it won't be visible on the spring right here. It won't be visible on the spring equinox for another 24,000 years, whether you're here or not. This is how our ancestors told time. Each and every ancient megalithic architectural monument on this planet is orientated to that celestial alignment. It's the Great Pyramid, the Mercury, has a star shaft in the north and a star shaft in the south. The star shaft in the south points to the Pleiades, it points to Orion, and to Cyrus. And this indicates the annual orbit of the Earth going around the sun. It's the annual orbit. And then the star shaft to the north points to the circumpolar stars, which is Polaris, Vegan, Devon, and Draco, and of course, Cepheus. Many people don't know about Cepheus. It is the coming of the black man and the black woman to power upon this planet. They erased Cepheus out of the books, but we are going to resurrect Cepheus. This picture here, hold it right there, please. This is our Milky Way galaxy. When you look at it from an aerial view, which is the top view, it looks like a hurricane spinning. But when you look at it from a side view, it's nothing but a line. And in the middle is a big blob, which is the Milky Way, which is the black hole. It glows at the top, it glows at the bottom. And that line, and you stop on the line on the left, you go up 15 degrees, then you come down 15 degrees, you hit the line, then you go down 15 degrees, you come up 15 degrees. This is how our sun moves through the galactic elliptic plane. It's called the galactic elliptic plane. When I speak of the galactic elliptic plane, that's what I'm speaking of. And we have moved through that Milky Way galaxy for 26,000 years, and we now completed a complete orbit cycle around the phenomenon of recession. So the Earth rotates on its axis, it revolves around the sun, and it's tilted 23.5 degrees from vertical, which makes it bubble. One complete bubble is 26,000 years. They call it the precession of equinox, but it's known as the phenomenon of recession. And right here in school, to set you upon meditation, they did not tell you anything more. Because if they told you anything more about the phenomenon of recession, then they would have to tell you about our story. And that is what has been in the dossier is redacted. You know what redacted means? So that when you get the paper, there's black lines going through it. It's redacted. You can't read it. So when you get your story, it's all redacted. And then when the information that you do read that isn't redacted is his story. Remember, history is our story that has been fractured, fragmented, plagiarized, and regurgitated back to you in an unholy manner, and it's called his story. So you got the shit, the mierda, the doom upon the shit upon shit upon shit upon shit. But guess what? Our ancestors had the concept of self-creation. We have the Kepler. The Kepler is the doom beetle. The doom beetle lives upon the Serengeti, and it collects all the doom from all the animals, and it rolls it up into a ball, and it pushes it on its hind feet, and it emits its slobber inside of it. And at the end of its journey from east to west, another beetle emerges out of this doom, out of this shit, out of this doom away from animals. And this is called the concept of self-creation. And now we're going to go and bring you to the spirituality of yourself and knowing how to apply this spirituality with our sacred science, our divine math, and our cultural conscious spirituality. If I am allowed to do so. I know I talk fast. I know I'm moving light speed. If our great Steve Clinton Brown would allow me, or maybe he would like to interject, we would love to hear what you have to say to bring balance to this conversation. At this time, great Steve Clinton Brown, or I will, or just turn me loose. Just unleash me.
Brother Ptah, you may continue.
Dua. So, in order to understand our story of our spirituality, which is based upon the Medusa text, because I got Reggie Maybe listening to, I want to make sure I bring the proper receipts, the proper requisition slips. We start off with the Mastaba text, the Pyramid text, the Coffin text. We have the Shabaka stone. We have the text of Anu, the text of Heliopolis, the Hermopolis, the Kemenu. We have the Stephen text, and we have the Book of Knowing the Overthrows of Ra, and of the Book of Knowing the Evolutions of Ra, and of the Overthrowing of Pepi. And these are in the meta text, which are part of our cosmogony. But let me break this first down to you scientifically and mathematically so one can begin to comprehend on a layman's term. So we first begin that the first law of existence, please write this down. The first law of existence is that energy must be spent. The first law of energy is to always exist and expand. No, there is an order that applies to all things. This order is called the order of existence. It was issued by the creator of all things, Nebuchadnezzar, who we call Ra Nebuchadnezzar Ra, to ensure the continuous perpetual evolutions of all things. So when I speak to you of the New Age order of the Great Golden Age of Asar and the New Age order stock gospel of the self-creation of Ra Nebuchadnezzar Ra, it is of this order that I speak. Many are the mysteries concerning the universe and the Ankh, life, being that is found within it. This is also true regarding the theories, laws that govern them. Who am I? Where do I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going? All the known and unknown forces of the universe are of one origin. Necessity becomes the order by which these forces reveal themselves. Existence demands that energy be spent. Existence is realized by the expansion of energy that must have a source. In the case of our universe, life, Ankh, being is always associated to heat and movement, but the energy that drives the entire universe is of the direct result of the self-creation of Ra Nebuchadnezzar Ra, radiation, which produces the phenomenon of attraction and repulsion, along with the anomalies of heat and movement. So when you begin to understand the concept of self-creation, let us begin to understand it first mathematically. Remember, we're going to go mathematically. We're going to sacred math, a divine math, our sacred science, and our cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious spirituality. We're going to triangulate this at all times with our astrology and astronomy that are accountability and star validation, or it's a violation. Ptah is blowing smoke. Ptah is lying to you. I'm going to make sure that you applicate this information numerically, scientifically, mathematically, with your cultural, cosmic, collective, conscious spirituality. So to first understand the origins of existence, you first have to understand your existence here on this planet with the nature rules and the cosmic forces. And so we have the sun. The sun is a hydrogen atom. It has a proton, a neutron surrounded by a nucleus. It has an electron, and it is called atomic energy. Thank you, Queen Mother Goddess. Some PowerPoint. Okay, so now let's start to answer the questions very simply using layman's terms, and we shall say time. What is time? Time is the movement or measurement of the light through the void of deep, dark, cold space from one point or distance to another. Speed 198,000 miles per second. Light is the absence of darkness, and darkness is the absence of light. Light is the giver of Ankh, life, to all things upon the terrestrial plane within the atomic domain. Light is the consciousness and awareness of being. Light is the generic expression of the light, and it's only found exclusively in three forms: solids, liquids, and gases. Matter, the elements, the netarus, nature. However, the light, atomic energy, Kepra, the expanding universe, is not the origins of existence and exclusive development of the universe. The light, Kepra, atomic energy, has a mirrored reflection. Atomic energy has a mirrored reflection, which is subatomic. This subatomic reflection is called radiation, the cosmic egg, the primeval germ, and we call it in our cultural spirituality Nebuchadnezzar or Ra, Nebuchadnezzar Ra. So, as we begin to comprehend this, now how can we prove that the light has a mirrored reflection? Okay, now we're going to applicate our sacred science of divine math and our cultural cosmic spirituality by using the esoteric and esoterical fundamental principles which are before you every day. It's called ponderable matter. So when the sun shines down on you or shines down on anything that has a physical form or is matter, solids, liquids, and gases, has mass, weight, and occupies space, it will produce a shadow. If the sun shines on anything, it's going to produce a shadow. So you say to yourself, you never say to yourself, what is the shadow? But you see it every day. You don't know what the shadow is, but sure enough follows you around every day. Everywhere you go, you're in the light, it's going to follow you. But I bet you, if that sun turns up to be 105, 110 degrees, your little monkey butt's going to jump in that shadow to get some shade, so you're going to cool off. So now you're cooling off inside that shade from the sun and its radiance. And so now you know that the sun is atomic energy. So the shade or the shadow has to be subatomic. It's not rocket science. This is not the logical deductions of the Greeks and the Romans. We are not logical. We are cosmical. You got to get your cosmic Naga swagger on. You got the Naga up, or there's going to be another nigga down. They're getting ready to body bag you. They already know your expiration date. You're eating that food wrong. They already know you got the high blood pressure. They already know your organs are failing. You're eating that butter. That butter's clogging up your arteries. You're drinking that milk. You got headaches every day because the blood's not passed. They already know. But let's continue with the story of self-creation. You got to be able to applicate these cosmic forces. In order to do this, this is what the beginning of the show was designed for you to frequentize yourself to first frequency specifically. And when you begin to understand and comprehend this first frequency, these forces will reveal this information to you. But you are so busy, you are what we call UNP. UNP means unnecessary pain and punishment. They don't even have to put chains on our neck. They don't even have to calculate our brains. We're chaining up ourselves. We're beating ourselves. We are manufactured. It's called self-manufactured pain. We wake up in the morning to eat that food just to kill ourselves. I ain't got nothing else to do. I got to die for something. Just this retarded mentality. But now let us continue with the story of self-creation. We're moving from the light, and the light produces its radiance upon anything. It creates a shadow, so we know that the light is atomic energy, is a hydrogen atom. Of course, we're dwelling into the realm of Dr. Gabriel Evo's Gij, comma J equals 0, and which is the most masterful mathematical equation. Here in the Tesha Parah, the Holy House of Ra, we have in my book, The Cosmic Egg, aka The Primeval Germ, a journey of 59 plus 21 zeros, we have the RSGUT. That book's been published for 45 years. We don't even want to be recognized. We don't even want a Nobel Peace Prize. We explain gravity. We explain it scientifically, mathematically. When I come to cosmic spirituality within the pyramid text, we break down each of the dimensions of self-creation. We break it down scientifically, mathematically. We create it to the field force of electromagnetism, weak force, strong force, and gravity, to the four attributes of manifestation of Temu, Ptah, Amen, and Kepra. And we bring it all together. We don't even want this Nobel Peace Prize because this information is for the people. It's for free. For my Nagas, my Shemsurus, my Nesubitis, my Hemets, my Sibas, my Munatats, the immortal ones and one. This picture here, break it down again. Go back to the first one. Go back to the first one that just shows Oblivion, please, Queen Mother. Let's break it down scientifically. I got about maybe 15 more minutes. I can do it. I can do it. You know I move at light speed. It's like the Medu word for Brother Reggie and the scholars who looking for receipts and who want some requisition slips. The Pert M. Taru, according to E.A. Wallace Bowles, or God assigned us, means the chapter of coming forth by day. But that's a European interpretation. You know we're not flying on that. We're flying on ours. That's historical information. We're talking about our story. The Pert M. Heru means in primordial temple discipline, the chapter of coming forth by the speed of light. The movement of light, we're talking about light. Light moves at 198,000 miles per second. That's how we move. We move at the speed of light. And the light is not the fastest phenomenon known to man because it's something that moves faster than light. And that's thought. So let us begin to break down this concept of self-creation because you showed me the 5 pictures, Queen Mother. That's the end one. That's the last one. These are the 4 attributes of manifestation around the Teshuvah, which is the fear force, fear primordial, fear forces, and Ra Never Teshuvah is in the middle. But before Ra Never Teshuvah became Ra Never Teshuvah, first Ra Never Teshuvah has to perform 4 sequences of being, which is first he must release himself. Then he must seek out himself. He must overcome the sensation of weightlessness. He must embrace Ma'at within himself. Then he will acquire the ability to experience the phenomenon of being. And I apologize, Queen Mother Goddess, for my masculine tunnel vision. It is not he. Our creator is a he, she. Our creator is androgynous. The masculine and the feminine energy existed in the beginning and it will exist in the end. I'm just dogmatic. I suffer myself from PTSD, post-traumatic slave syndrome. We all suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome in one form or another. I keep calling Ra Never Teshuvah he, but in the text it says in Nebuchadnezzar, I am he, she. I am the mother and the father. So why I keep saying he is because I am suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome, so that everybody knows. So when you hear me say he, I also mean she. So when we get to understand, can we show us the pictures, Queen Mother Goddess, of these 4, the green pictures? Just start from the beginning. We're going to break down scientifically and mathematically before we go into our cultural spirituality, so everybody can feel this. It's a frequency. It's a rhythm. It's resonance. It's sound. And then we're going to applicate the Medunetta so that you can understand how this applicates, because it all begins with the Medunetta. So without the Medunetta, so we are guaranteeing you that you must learn to read, write, speak, and teach Medunetta. This is what we call in our book Oblivion. Oblivion would be known in scholarship as Nu, N-U, or the primeval ocean of nothingness, or dark energy, or the cosmological constant. We are entering a new, get ready to the dictionary of Oblivion. They can't explain Oblivion. They don't even know what Oblivion is. But I bet you they said that they take out a laser beam and they shoot you with a laser beam and you become disassembled and decimated. They said you've been obliterated, but they cannot explain Oblivion. Let me explain it for you. Oblivion is a place of perpetual continuance where particles of existence are reduced to its lowest common denominator, invisible strings and strands. It is a form of existence that connects the concepts of substantion and expansion. Its boundaries are endless and ever-reaching, indicating that it is the outer cover of this universe of radiation and light, and an inner cover that encloses this universe. This is the place of the all of all, the holy of holiest, that sandwiches the universe of radiation and light. This qualifies it as the place or plane where matter can be reduced, absorbed, and then stored for the purpose of continuous perpetuation, where particles of the light and radiation are collected for the redistribution process involved in continuous evolution. Oblivion is the capacitor of capacitance. Capacitance is the ability to collect and store energy. This energy that is collected can also be released or discharged. From this energy that is released or discharged comes the laws of attraction and repulsion. Harmonic strings and strands represent the quantum result of the total decimation of the atom, leaving behind invisible electron lines of the magnetic flux. This is how our most earliest ancient African indigenous primordial ancestors equated, related oblivion. This picture here, you see there's a little, inside the square now, you see something happening. That's called interference. This is called universal capacitance. This is ma'at. This is universal ma'at. Now, you know ma'at as what is truth, right, righteously great, what is straightforward, what is truth. And now they have a new word called reciprocity. How that one got in there, I have no idea. Maybe, I give you something, you give me something. I give you a kiss, you kiss me back with your woman. I don't know where reciprocity came from, but we're going to give it to them. That's the Kemetic community. That's what they do. Now we're going to break down interference. Interference is the principle or spirit that is the one constant that affects change in an ever-changing universe. It is the spirit of continuation and development. It is the force that causes change and alteration. It is unceasing, unalterable work. Water that is found in three forms, solids, liquids, and gases, are elements that bears witness to interference. Changes in nature occur at random, caused by storm, drought, or environmental relapse. Interference is all of these things. It is the reason for the colors of light. It is the reason that radiation radiates. It is the master of death. It cannot die. There is no force in the universe that is older than this. Before radiation, there was only oblivion, and the spirit of interference existed then. The spirit cannot be isolated from anything. It has something to do with everything. So now we're breaking down these field forces. Remember, these field forces, which are into a scientific interpretation, comes from LePlanck and NASA when they sent up the Kobe satellite, and the Kobe satellite has a cousin called Kobe. Kobe is Cosmic Observatory Background Explorer. Please Google it. These are your receipts. This is your requisition slip. Kobe, C-O-B-E, Cosmic Observatory Background Explorer. So somebody said, well, what if we took the camera and sent it to the deepest part of space and take a picture? This is what they found. They found this egg-shaped anomaly. And because of its red and blue heat signature, they know it to be the molecular appearance of the source of all creation, or the origins of subatomic space. They call this radiation. Our ancestors knew of this cosmic egg millions and millions of years ago because it's right here on the Ankh. It's right here on the top of the Ankh. There's an egg-shaped anomaly. That means my ancestors knew of this egg-shaped anomaly tens of millions of years ago. And they just found it with these super telescopes in 1989. Google it. 1989, they found the cosmic egg, aka the primeval germ, aka Prara Never Tessera. So what is radiation? Radiation, show the picture again, Queen Mother Goddess. Radiation is an energy form that is the result of a supernatural phenomenon, a universal metamorphosis involving beginnings and endings. It is the molecular source of all creation. It is the force that drives the universe to expand outwardly and uniformly. It is a living, growing force, and because of this, it was thought to be a germ, the germ of life, the primeval germ of existence. So now, we break it down. We're going to stay scientific here before we go into the four attributes of manifestation, because I want to break this down, because I got Gabriel Yiba watching. I got to make sure I produce this properly, because, you know, G.I.J., J is right now battling. We're not battling, but we are here to present to the people G.I.J., J equals 0, God Almighty, Grand Unification Theorem, and ours is the RSGUT, the Rosarian Star Grand Unification Theorem, which is E, energy, which is Ner, plus P, power, equals Usa, equals L, Ankh, which is life, and it all comes out to being. So we're here to acquire the ability to experience the phenomenon of being. So in the beginning, there is Ner, energy, and its name is Oblivion. In the end, there is Ner, energy, and its name also is Oblivion. It's derived from power, and power is the result of energy. Ex-electron, after receiving, discharging, or escaping from oblivion, became a source of power. But because this power was dissipating, form and shape was necessary for containment, and the feeling of weightlessness then must be overcome. By the controlled emissions of waves and rays of magnetic subatomic particles in all directions after taking shape, these two basic needs were met. This is the origins of subatomic space. This is our story of the self-creation of Ra Nevertesha Ra. Energy that was lost and now being spent was in need of replenishment. And the need for replenishment. All the energy was now being dispersed outwardly, allowing form and shape within the newly formed egg, until it was forced to expand beyond itself. This created a great explosion that hurled shell bits of magnetic subatomic particles, egg fragments, expanding the void of deep dark cold space until they could go no further, and they reached the heliopause, and they collapsed upon each other, producing gamma orbs and gamma blasts. Upon embracing interference, it created another explosion. A ring of gamma now surrounds the primeval germ. It allows the recycling of energy inwards and the replenishing of itself. Some of this energy that was not absorbed inwards was released outward beyond the gamma range of bits of pure antimatter. Upon embracing interference again, developed in a region we call the nursery of the stars, as dark body radiation, black holes, or galaxies. These dark body radiations, black holes, and galaxies are pushed away from the innerverse and is the realization of the outerverse. These dark body radiations, black holes, and galaxies produce atomic energy, stars, light, planet, moons, and life forms. Until all the above mentioned energy once again into oblivion, these forces will adjust, propel, and expand the continuous perpetual evolution of the expanding universe. So now we have it in a nutshell on a scientific level. Now we have to balance this mathematically. And mathematically, we know that God Never Teshuvah has four attributes of manifestation. Because in the pyramid text, in the Mastaba text, please show the Medunetta text, Queen Mother Goddess. In the pyramid text and in the Mastaba text, we have the Zep Tepi. The Zep Tepi is Medunetta for Zep is ZP. They say, the Europeans call it ZP, but in Medunetta and the Kemetic community, we call it SP. Sep means first. Sep Tepi. Tepi means time, the first time. Of course, this is before time. This is the origins of existence and the creation and development of the universe. And the Medunetta text, Queen Mother. And so in the Zep Tepi, the Creator says, in the Medunetta, the Creator says, I am. Anuk. F is masculine, F is masculine, is feminine. It says, Anuk, I am he, she, who existed in the primeval ocean of nothingness, eons and eons of evolutions ago, before the beginnings of time. When I thought that the moment had come, I fashioned my mouth and I uttered my name as a word of power. With this power that was my birthright, I fashioned myself in form from out of the primeval ocean of nothingness. I was alone at this time. There were none others with me then. I am the beginnings of time which began when I took form and commanded the power. Now it came to pass that I found no place upon which I could stand. So I straightway brought forth from my own mind and thoughts the primeval mound from out of the primeval ocean of nothingness. Being that I was alone at this time, it pleased me to make others. So I went from being Nesher 1 to Nesher 3. I made these beings in the manner in which all things are made. I, Ra Never Teshuvah, the he, the she, the mother and father of all existence, I embraced my shadow and I grasped my member and I loved myself. I issued forth the Nesher Shu and I multiplied his forms millions and millions of times. I gathered a portion of the remains and I swallowed them and I spat forth Tefnus. They are my heart and soul, twins born of the same birth. And when you find the one, you find the three, for the three is of the one and the one is of the three. Shu and Tefnus had union and gave birth to Seb the earth and Nut the sky. And in similar manner I multiplied their forms millions and millions of times. Shu and Seb and Nut had union, and from this union were born the earth Neteru, the first ancestors. And their names are Heru Asar, Sut, As, and Nebhet. Asar and As gave birth to Heru and Heru gave birth to the Shemsu Heru. Their names are Mr. Hapi, Tomatep, and Quetzalcoatl. And when all that was done, I placed each and every asteroid, black hole, constellation, and thing of being where I found everything that creep, crawl, swim, and fly. And together, their movement is meanings to my work, and their movement is no drain on my powers. It is I, God Never Teshuvah, who issues forth the order of existence. So that's how it is in Medunetta. I was hoping the Queen Mother could have showed you the text for Reggie and the scholars, so I can show some receipts on that. And then now you have to take the story. This is the oldest story ever known. This is the oldest story spoken. This is spoken by the creator of all existence, God Never Teshuvah. So in the story, he says, I am he, she who exists in the primary ocean of nothingness, beyond the evolution, go before the beginning of time. When I thought, here we go, here we go, here we go, when we begin to applicate our science, our sacred science, our divine math, and interpretation and translating and reliteration of the Medunetta text to the unique bi-trilateral and the determinative and the phonetic values that you learned out of Godness, scientists, and E.A. Wallace Bowles and Champollion and Ricketti Men and Metsubishi and Samaj Ptah. Now is the time to put that information to work. It says that he says, I thought the moment had come. So now we know that Temu, the Nesher Temu, the self-created one, Temu and Medunetta means to think. Temu and Medunetta means thought. Temporal and method means to plan. It's equated to mentalism, so we equate this thought or this principle to electromagnetism. Now we're relating it to the science and the math, because there is no science without math, there is no math without science. And we need our cultural culture, spirituality to equate it all within the all of alls, or we're just Greeks and Romans. We're just another scholar. We're just another Hotep pimp, another Greek and a Roman. And my ancestors were not Greeks, and my ancestors were not Romans, and my ancestors did not wear no wigs. So let's get it together. So here we go. As I shall say, I'm gonna stand on the shoulders of our great divine transition Queen Mother Goddess Frances Cress Wilson, when she would say, "Are you with me, my people? Are you with me, my people?" So here we go. He said, "When I thought the moment had come, I fashioned my mouth and I uttered my name as a word of power." So here we go. Now we know in primordial temple discipline that motion is a requirement in the separating of the collective energy contained within a motionless cold void, such as new primordial nothing, dark energy, cosmological conscience, oblivion. I use these 5 terms because these are 5 schools of thought. And I don't want no one to think there's any weakness over here in the primordial temple discipline that we produce here at the Nagakian Institute and the Nagaship Association. We want to know that I am from Tesha Para. I have been studying inside the temple for 60 years. They set me out to bring forth this new age or the star gospel. And when I got here, don't nobody know how to tell time. Don't nobody know who Teshurah is. I mean, I mentioned Nebuchadnezzar, no one even knows who he is. And it's in the pyramid text. It's in the span of the paws of Herukuti, of Jehuti they call the Sphinx, on the second register down, reading right to left. His name is right there. I can show you multiple Mesonetic texts and papyrus papers that mention Nebuchadnezzar. Bugs knew of Nebuchadnezzar. Birches knew. Brightstead, Reisner, Petrie, Gardner. Everybody knows about Nebuchadnezzar but black people. When I ask a black person in the community who they believe in, they tell me Amen Ra, which is the most ludicrous thing I ever heard, because we know Amen Ra is a star date. Because in the great golden age of Amen, in the temple of Luxor, they have an avenue of sphinxes that are orientated to the spring equinox. And when the sun came into that orientation and the Ra came in with Amen, Amen became Amen Ra. It's very simple to understand how our ancestors left these things decoded. Am I moving too fast?
Yeah, well, what I wanted to do, because we were going to try to keep this at 2 hours, so we know, you know, how people's attention is not that long. So we were going to try to keep it 2 hours. So we got to 2 hours,
Okay.
and we can continue this because I want to do the Dogon with you.
Yes.
When if we could continue this when we do the Dogon cosmology and how that relates to ancient Egypt.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, can we do this, continue this on Wednesday?
Yes, we do that on Wednesday, because to begin on the Dogon is just to dap into it on an astrological and astronomical and cosmological aspect with the concept of self-creation and the star substance Cyrus and Cyrus A and Cyrus B and the 25,000 years they have. Theirs doesn't come to 26,000, it comes to 25 point something, but it's all in there together. It all is synonymous. We're all one people, one trend of thought, one archaeological, one archaeological buildings all over this whole planet. It's the same polygamo and the same polymer architectural designs all over this planet. And yes, we can do this for another day. I would like to bring it back to Siba Kepler Ptah, because he thought he could out-talk me.
let me do this because I appreciate you so much, Brother Kepler. And I would like to invite you back this Wednesday so that we could have a continuation. This is language that our people have to get used to hearing and speaking. And the thoughts when we go into, it's not so much meditation, even though meditation is a big part of it, but we're going into creation. And that's creating a new civilization. Not that the civilization is new, but because we have forgotten it, it's new to us. So we have to recreate our ancient civilization where we can do things that we haven't even thought of. But whatever the mind can conceive, then we can bring that future into being. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for being with us. I want to thank Sister Ma.
Siva Clinton.
Yes, sir.
We need to give the Queen Mother, the feminine energy, the final 10 minutes because she has so much to just close the show out with. Can we please close the show?
Oh, by all means. I was about to thank her, but rather than thanking her, I'd like to bring her on. Okay. She's
What I would like to share is the ancient Kemetic Rossorian calendar has been mentioned several times during this broadcast. And for those that need the information to order their calendar, you can purchase your calendar through PayPal at Ptah Secret Stars account is paypal.me back to Kemet, BACKTOKHMT, and that Kemet is here. He also accepts postal money orders, and this is the information here where you can send your money order as well. You also purchase your calendar at his website, www.ptah.com. Here is his PayPal account. This is my PayPal account here, paypal.me, and TBOSS. And the calendar can also be purchased on Etsy at the Time and Immortality Shop. And here is the information here. And and
You're breaking up. Breaking up.
Yes, it's good now.
yeah, my thing's messed up.
Okay, you're good.
There.
Very bad, very bad. We lost you.
It's okay.
I can hear you, but you go in and out.
Well, she has all the information there right in front of you. And I would like to also thank the man behind the scenes, the Mr. Wizard, the God King, who's always there for Clemson Brown. He has been there for years with Rabbi Stephen Clemson Brown. And I want everybody to please go to Clemson Brown's Cash App. Please. That's at STAPVICEO. Make sure you donate to the great Stephen Clemson Brown. And we got our brother right there. There he goes. The God King.
Thank you, Brother Darrell, God King. We appreciate you.
You can find us at the Naga Ship Association and the Nagakian Institute of Cosmic Awareness, Spiritual Consciousness, and Universal Enlightenment, which we have our website, and which we are developing right now, which will be done this week, and we will be giving out free websites to all the Sebas to teach our children online virtually because there's nobody going back to school. That virus is designed to set us upon limitations and for our children to not develop mentally. So we have to develop online programs of our story, not history, not about Jesus, not about Muhammad, let us talk. Can we just take a few years out to talk about our story? That's all I'm asking.
Right.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mm.
Sir, you're absolutely right. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna go down to Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Is that okay?
Hey, hold up. We already got a show Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It would have to be Sunday. It would have to be Sunday.
Well, Sunday is not a problem with me. What about you,
Yeah,
brother?
Sunday's perfect for me. Not for you, Ptah.
Sure. Sunday at the same time.
Yes. And for you, Queen Mother Goddess, our great divine, revered, honorable Queen Mother Goddess, Asma'at Tefnut. Is Sunday good for you, Queen Mother?
Dua,
Dua. So I would like to say, in the words of our paternal father, Asar Unepa Kentiamenti, that within the whole of the universe, nothing is ever added and nothing is ever lost. Atumra Hotep.
Hotel.
And Rahotep.
Hotep.
See it by.
Thank you.